hoi ono he mea rere ke tērā, kātahi. I tēnei haore, kare mai nai a tonu nei, manu hiri tāku kei roto I te whare, ko Grant Brooks tana inua. Morning, Grant.
Morena.
Kei te pē here?
Kei te pai au.
Hey, Grant, and then I'm just looking outside and had, kei te pai nā rangi wahona. I'm just surprised you're not out there and having a bit of a stretch out in the sun, my bro.
It's hard work on the campaign trail, Machi.
Yes. I see the different campaigners out and about and that. The Tokotoru Tapu, they're out there with Mrs. Cunliffe, Mrs. Robertson and Mrs. Jones. Oh, that sounds like a song. Me and Mrs. Jones. Hoi anora e koutou mā, and kei konea granted kei te kōrero I we tā māua, we tahi o nā kaupapa kei iaia I tēnei wā Grant. Tēnā kua Grant, and that just koe how o mahi I tēnei wā Grant. Can you give us a little chat about who you are and what are you doing at this moment, just right now?
Kia ora, Machi. Ko Grant tōku ingoa, Grant Brooks. I'm going to break into Te Reo Pākehā here. My reo Māori is not that flash. But I am here today at you because I'm standing for election in the local body elections that are coming up. And I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you very much for having me on your show.
Pai Grant, and hey, look, and one of the interesting things that I see that you've aligned with mana.
Aye.
And don't get me wrong, Grant, I never, I just saying, and I don't mean this in a demeaning way. It says, ka pro hone in there, got a Pākehā in there working with it. Actually, he's got quite a few. And that's where a lot of people have got it wrong about mana party. They're open to who. It don't matter. It's about picking up the kaupapa of mana at that time. That's what it is. Is that right? Does that sound right to you?
That sounds absolutely right, Machi. I mean, mana is a kaupapa Māori movement and a Māori-led movement, but open to all peoples, and it stands on the belief that what's good for Māori is good for all people in Aotearoa, and that's a belief that I share.
I've long thought that myself, Grant, and I'm one of these, and it says, hey, I live in that for my mokopuna, and gosh knows what colour they're going to be, what breed they're going to be, what they're going to look like at that time. We only hope in that they're better people, where they're better New Zealanders. You know, I live for the day and that where te reo Māori, well, I think it is. Well, I think it already is. I hear people in there, I hear Pākehā people say, get off te hui. You know, little wee things in it. It's starting to happen. I watch the All Blacks, and once upon a time, I used to turn it off until after the haka because I used to think they used to look pathetic. Right. But now and then I go, whoa, look at these fellas in there, they're grunting in there. So they're normalising things in that probably where mana is heading towards, normalising relationships and that, normalising Māori in today's kaupapa.
Yeah, it's one of the kaupapa, isn't it? It's whakawhanangatanga. It's part of what mana stands on, and that means whanangatanga with all people. So yeah, it's a very welcoming movement.
Oh, excellent. So what role are we playing in mana at the moment, Grant?
Well, I'm in mana Pōneke branch. Yep. I'm the current chair. And I also am the secretary of mana Te Tai Tonga for the rohi. So there's a couple of us Pākehā fellas who are in these roles, it's a great learning curve for me.
Oh, I'll tell you what, Annette, I remember when the Te Ika rāwhiti, Tai rāwhiti, that whole was going on, and I went to a couple of the meetings, and I remember a car from mana. I said, where are you people from? So we'll come down from Auckland.
Aye.
Yeah, you know?
Kiriyama and his crew came down.
And I thought, yep, there they go. You know, they emblazoned on that on the vehicle, mana, and I thought, geez, these people are getting it together. And when I heard them, they came all the way down from Auckland. Wicked, just absolutely wicked. So, Grant and that, if you're associated with that, I've seen some of the work, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people have seen some of the work that you and for mana are doing. Anything else about mana?
Anything else about mana?
That we should know about? Meetings
You
coming
probably know more than me. No, we're gearing. Well, we had a great result in Ikaroa Rafiti.
Yes, yes.
Very, very pleased with
Yes.
that. And we're gearing up for next year. But also up at the moment, we've got the local body elections. Now, some mana members are standing as mana candidates, especially up in Tāmaki Makaurau. There's a big team up there. And there's a few mana members standing in the local elections dotted around the motu elsewhere as well.
Cool. Well, we're going to come to that in a second. I noted in that you're part of the nurses movement, and I'm really interested in this because my own niece and that has gone down to Otago, and she spent a few years down there doing that. And I know, and that's sort of like the midwives in town, the Māori midwives, and we have young Māori ladies and that are getting into nursing. But I'll tell you what, recently we have a nephew who's moved into the nursing. Can you just tell us a little wee bit about the nursing?
Ngā mihi nui to your whānau, because no oti poti ahau. I'm from Dunedin originally myself, and studied my nursing down there at the nursing school, and then that's Pairawa, that one.
Plenty of money, mama, me papa.
It's a few years ago now, so I've been a nurse for 20 years ago actually. I started studying, and I've been working in the district health boards and public health hospitals ever since I graduated, and I got involved in the nurses' organisation, which is a trade union and a professional body, and I thought this is all right, so I put my hand up to be a union delegate, and from there I've become a national delegate, and I'm currently on the board of directors of the nurses' organisation, and I'm very proud to say that they are endorsing me to stand in the local body elections as well as mana. So I come with 2 supporters to this election.
Oh, wicked! Because I do know that I remember a couple of years ago the old whistleblower kōrero and the nursing whistleblower, and I thought, oh, what's that about? What is that about? People and I noticed, Grant, and I mean I do a wee bit of reading in that, but I have noticed that a lot of your people are looking overseas. Kei te aha, Grant. What's happening?
Well, I mean the money's so much better in Australia. I've actually when I've been over there myself last year working, but the pull of Aotearoa pulled me home, but I have to say I understand why people go. Yeah. I noticed the same thing in Pompeyland in England, and they're gravitating this way. And Australia seems to be a bit of a mecca at the moment for nurses, and male or female. And that leads me to my question about males. I mean, is there a stigma? Is that what it is? Is it because it's traditionally dominated by wahine? And although I do see on Shortland Street more and more male nurses are coming through. yeah. No, I mean the groundbreakers came through in the 70s. The men who did nursing.
Oh, okay.
That was they blazed the path for us to follow, and so people like myself coming through in the 90s, it was much easier. Although nursing is predominantly female.
Yes.
There are areas of nursing where there are more men, particularly mental health and ED. And some of the other specialty services have a fair
How the ED?
Emergency department.
Emergency department. Okay. And they got to do exactly the same, don't they?
Aye.
They kind of have favouritism. There's none of that sort of thing. The job is the job.
The job is the job.
You got to go step 1, step 2, step 3. You got to do it. And so, and now to tell me in that retention rate.
Retention rate. Well, there was a huge problem a few years back with turnover of nurses, particularly in the district health boards. But in 2004, we after a big push and a big campaign, we got ourselves some pay justice, and the research that came after that showed that retention was much improved because nurses could afford to stay working for the district health boards.
Good.
Now, I don't want to see that slip away. There are signs that it might, so we've got to keep the pressure on to keep fairness for nurses.
Yeah. we've seen a wee bit of trouble le hoa, just wee bit of trouble in some of our kaumātua whare. They're getting a bit of a whopping at the moment. And are we talking the same type of nurses?
We're talking the same type of nurses, but the injustice is, I mean, I spoke then about the district health boards, where the majority of nurses work, but in the iwi and Māori providers, the deal hasn't been so good. You know, it's the double standards in this country.
Yes.
And we've got to keep on pushing hard for those nurses.
Our country cousins, how are they going in the nursing?
You know, I won't speak for them. There's a division within the nurses' organisation called Te Runanga or Aotearoa, who are leading the fight on behalf of those Māori nurses, and all power to them.
Okay, good on them, and that's equity, yeah.
Equity, fairness.
Equity, fairness, and that's all you would ask for, and that is fairness. And that,
same job,
should be the same
pay.
Yeah. And it doesn't matter in that whether you're in Auckland or whether you're in Tiki. A patient is a patient, the need is the need. Is that right?
Absolutely.
Oh, ka pai. Oh, I haven't done too bad, have I, Grant? Okay, yeah. Now let's move along into the local politics. And can you explain what part of local politics we're talking about? What are we talking about here?
Well, there's local elections coming up around Aotearoa in the next week. The process will really kick off. It's postal voting, so people who are on the electoral roll with up-to-date details will get their voting papers in the mail, perhaps as early as next Friday, but it will take a few days for New Zealand Post to send them all out. So certainly within the next 2 weeks, people will have a chance to exercise their democratic right and select our local representatives.
Who are you standing for? Which rohe? Which part?
Well, I'm standing here in Puaniki, and there. So obviously there's the mayor who is going to be elected, and the city council and the regional council. But for me, I'm standing for election to the district health board.
Yes.
So I believe this is where I have something really to offer.
Can I just get? I just want to just come to the side a wee bit on the DHP. Have we sorted out where our rohe is? You know, I live in Te Awa Kairangi. So and I'm thinking, Te Awa Kairangi, is that still Te Awa Kairangi, Wairarapa?
There are two district health boards in Te Whanganui Tara, the region. The one that I'm standing for is Capital and Coast District Health Board.
Capital and Coast, I got you. Yep.
So people living, that district health board provides health care and is responsible for health for people in Wellington, Porirua and Kapiti.
Yep.
Te Awa Kairangi is separate.
Okay. So we're talking. Yeah, I'm just trying to get. I'm sure our listeners be wondering. So Capital Coast, and because we all know just the hospital up there, over there, and that. But our DHPs, Bs, they went into a bit of a. We're here, we're there, and at the moment, I believe they're still wondering where everybody's going at the moment. And I do appreciate the shifts and that of some services into Capital Coast from Te Awa Kairangi and moving out to Kapiti. Well, that's all good. E hoa granted nei, kei te tiro, kei te hiau ki te kōrero mō tētahi o nā kaupapa nā DHP. Arei pei te kaupapa the DHP, e nari kei te rongo hau. I've been watching the different kaupapa coming under the auspices of whānau ora. And now I know in whānau ora is a wee bit of a kaupapa of yours. Can you explain what?
Yeah, I mean whānau ora, I mean it is the I think the Māori Party can be very proud of their creation on this one. It's a policy that mana also supports. I mean, whānau ora is essentially it's a different approach to healthcare, which sees people not as individual patients, you know, who get medicine or surgery, but as people who are part of whānau, part of hapori, and you need to actually look at that wider picture and to help people, and not just with their medicine, but with maybe their livelihoods, with their housing, and it's it's a very exciting way of helping people.
I don't want to say the word in there, but it's kind of like a holistic approach at orana.
It's exactly,
Right.
and that's why it sits so well with me as a nurse.
Yeah.
You know, when I went to nursing school, we learned about holistic healthcare.
Yes.
And so this is a natural approach, just whānau ora,
Cool.
for me. And it's also why I think the New Zealand Nurses Organisation also supports the whānau ora approach.
Good. I'm just going to keep on this theme of the whānau ora just a wee bit, because we've seen our media thrashing it.
Right.
And kino nā mahi. Instead of te waiho and let it mature and let it come through, because
it's a political football.
Of course it is.
It is, you know.
Of course it is.
And you know, it's the usual suspects, I think, who are kicking it.
Of course.
You know, the same ones who kicked the treaty.
Yes.
Te tiriri, and so I think that you know, I'm very clear about which side of that I'm on.
Of course. I like the concepts of whānau ora. You know, when you think back and that to Mr. Jury and how he come into the 4 pillars and that of oranga.
And Professor Mason Jury, he led the development of the
Yes.
whānau ora model. Yeah.
Yes. Nice model.
It's
a model that can work around.
It's a model that can work, but I have to say it's a model that's not well understood by
Yes.
many Pākehā.
Yep.
And that's largely because it's been kicked around as a football by the politicians. You know,
Yes.
they haven't given it a chance. And also there are some other issues with it where iwi and Māori providers are being, I guess, pushed to amalgamate, to
Yes.
bid for these contracts.
Yes.
And in some cases, you know, that top-down approach is leading to some tensions between these groups who may not want to work together, who might want to retain their rangatiotanga.
Yes, yes.
So there are all sorts of nuances, but
Yes.
the philosophy, the principles are something that all New Zealanders should embrace.
Yes, I do remember and that some of those issues coming up, especially around Taranaki, about the amalgamation of different bodies and to form one local body, or the hijacking of some of the kaupapa into the bigger DHBs, and that it's not nice. Because they don't understand the kaupapa.
They don't understand the kaupapa.
Yeah. Anything else about whānau ora grant in it? Because, you know, I think it's an important kaupapa.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of my 5 main kaupapa, which I'm standing on in the selection. You know, with the endorsement of Mana and with the endorsement
Yes.
of the Nurses Organisation, I'm standing for health first.
Cool.
So I'm independent of both those bodies, but with their support. And I'm also so with 5 main policies. One is that we should have whānau ora, family wellbeing for all. And also that we should have an ambulance at the top of the cliff approach to healthcare. You know, so actually keeping people well so they don't have to come into hospital.
Yeah.
And those two sit together quite nicely, I think.
Of course. Well, I'll tell you what, in that, I'd rather in that it's rather than an ambulance, it's somebody in there that can talk about problems and whatever else in there that's facing. I'm just going to put something to you in that, and I always ask people about this, especially when they talk about the 4 pillars of health, blah, 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 blah. And we're always talking about whānau and tara. Grant, I was brought up in it with a word, hunuku.
Hunuku?
Yeah, right? And hunuku, right? And they talk to my mum and dad and they say, to hunuku.
Oh.
And for them,
I te mohi au
kaua te mohi te hunuku. Ko te hunuku, ko māma, ko pāpā, me a rāua tamariki.
Right.
As the, So we go a tama or a tangata, a tāne, the single. Then from there, we were brought up with the hunuku and then the whānau. When we go straight to whānau ora, it always seems to me that we've missed a step.
I understand what you're saying.
You know, it's just the health of the individual family.
The nuclear family, I
The
think.
nuclear family.
In Te Ika.
And because in that it doesn't feature in a lot of people's court. In fact, it probably, I think in that maybe it's only us tuhe that carry that whakaaro. Maybe it's probably there, but because of that, when we see the word whānau, we actually looking at this lot here. We forget about mum and dad. We forget about the young people who are getting into problems. And I'm talking about young mum and dads who are getting into problem because everybody says, oh, well, you got to go to your whānau. And I'm just putting it out there. I was always brought up to believe that mum and dad and their kids needed to be looked after first before the whānau.
I think...
he whakaro noa tērā.
I think, I mean, as Pākehā, I won't... I'll just listen, to the different kaupapa around whānau, the different whakaro.
Whakaro, yeah. So I just wanted to put that out there and that hunuku.
Hunuku. Kia ora.
Oh, granted that I've enjoyed our kōrero here and I'm really glad you've come in. You've got something else and that you want to say, you need to say to you.
I was just going to complete
go for it.
I was just going to rattle off my last because, I'm on the campaign trail. Here I am, thumping the tub and
blast it out, my bro. Blast it out.
So I'm standing for the District Health Board, Capital and Coast, and I'd ask whānau out there to give me the number one vote, because you can rank the candidates 1, 2, 3, 4 down to 23. There are 23 of us standing. And because I'm standing for whānau ora, I'm standing for ambulance at the top of the cliff, and no cuts, no privatisation. That's the danger that's coming to our health system, and I will stand up against those. And we also need candidates who will support local democracy. Not this bureaucracy taking over. And we need to, and above all, actually, the main thing at the moment, the most urgent thing, is putting the care back into aged care. You speak about the kaumatua. The state of our aged care is not good. It's been in the news, and that's something I want to do something about too. So kia ora.
Grant, websites.
Websites, I have. I'm on Facebook. It's Health First is the name of my ticket, my platform. So it's Health First, Vote 1 Grant Brooks on Facebook. There's a lot of people already liking it, so perhaps some of your Facebook friends are already there. And also healthfirst.net.nz is the website.
Ana e tātou mai whakarongo mai nei koutou, kia tātou katoa hoki kia Grant Brooks e kōrero nei māua, me whakarāpopoto he au nā kōrero mana, e nei ki rongo nei koutou i wetahi o nā kaupapa, Grant, tai noa tūra ki nā nehi, wā tātou nehi e te uni ana nehi, wetahi āwhina, wetahi tautoko, wetahi titiro whakamua, muna nehi, me te hae tātou mā, e pai ana e tāne mā. He mahi tērā, ne, ko te oranga o te tanata te mea nui, e harai te mea ko nā wāhine anahe, ka kuruhu atu ki nā mahi nehi, kao. Ko nā tāne eno, kai ko nāno. E tāne e ne, he rata te tāne. He rata te wahine, ne? He wahine te rata, he tāne te rata. Kai te pai, pēra anō i te nehi, he tāne te nehi, he wahine te nehi. Kai te pai. Ka tika i kōrero anō hoki, mona me ki tōranga pū āhāpori, local politics, ne? Ana i tēnei kōrero mai a Grant i ona whakaro, wāna mahi e whaiwhai nei i tēnei tikana, nā tikana o local politics. Nā ka kōrero māua mō whānau ora. Wētahi o nā tirona, kai roto o whānau ora, wētahi o ana paina. Ne, ma tōna wā e tātou ka aro mai anai tauiwi ki nā whakaro, ki nā tikana, ki nā mātāpono a te whānau ora. Hea hai, i te mea, he mea pai mō tātou katoa. Ahakoa Māori, ahakoa Hainamana, ahakoa Pākehā, ahakoa Kuki Aireni, ahakoa aha. Whānau ora he paina mō tātou katoa. Tanata New Tireni, tū mai, aro mai, whānau ora. Nō reire e koutou mā, koe nei wā maua kōrero ko Grant Brooks i tēnei ata. Kia kite koe i tana whakāhua, i tana pikitia, anei tāku kia koutou, pōtitia. I te mea, kai te mōhio koe, i tēnei tanata, kai te whakaro nui, kai te aro nui mai ki nā kaupapa, i o tātou whatu manawa, i o tātou nākai. Ahakoa Māori, ahakoa Pākehā, ahakoa Hainaman, ahakoa taikiri, mā taikiri, pango aha kua taikiri, ko whai e kare he aha. E ai ki te kōrero tongi a tēnā o nā kaumātua no roto o Waikato nera, kauru te miro mā, te miro pango, te miro I roto nera. Koe rata nā kōrero. No reira, Grant, awesome me hoa.
Oh, kia ora.
And shout outs to somebody, Grant. Come on.
Shout out to somebody.
Shout out to somebody, Grant. Come on.
Is there a song coming up?
Yeah, I've got a couple lined up. Lovely song by Rui and Rania.
Aye.
And the couple for me is Grab the Thoughts.
Okay. For Rui and Rania, if they're going to come up, I'll give a shout out to my partner Linda, who introduced me to Bob Marley many years ago, and their te reo versions of Bob Marley are just too meki.
Okay. Yeah, awesome. E kātou mā kapo kia koutou katoa e whakarongo mai nei. Kia ora mai.